Now, Poland says that it will make an official request to Germany asking if it can re-export the Leopard tanks that it bought, sending them on to Germany.
We will apply for consent, but this is a secondary topic. Even if we don't get it, in the end, as part of a small coalition, even if the Germans would not be in this coalition, we will still hand over our tanks together with others to Ukraine.
So that is Poland's Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki saying that they would bring together a small coalition of countries who would potentially send on these Leopard tanks, these German tanks that were bought from Germany, and they need permission to send on those tanks onto another country, effectively re-exporting them to another country. Permission is necessary because Germany, a German manufacturer has made them, a German manufacturer then supplies spare parts to them. Now the issue is whether Germany will give permission for the re-exporting, the resending on of these tanks. Let's cross over to Berlin because our correspondent Damien McGuinness joins us now. So Damien, Mateusz Morawiecki, Polish Prime Minister, this morning saying that they want to go ahead with this, that they will ask for permission of Germany. Has that been done yet?
Well, according to the German government, there's been no official request from Poland yet. That's what a government spokesman has just said here in Berlin. But what we're really seeing here in Berlin is a huge division within the country, within Parliament, but crucially within the government. As you know, Kasia, there are three parties in this government: centre-left SPD, which is Chancellor Olaf Scholz, and you have the Liberals and the Greens. Now, the Green foreign minister yesterday on French television said that Germany would not stand in the way of countries like Poland exporting German tanks to Ukraine. But so far, Chancellor Scholz has not said whether he agrees with this position. When the government spokesperson was asked this morning here in Berlin, he gave a very vague answer saying formal procedures have to be followed. So it's still very unclear what Chancellor Scholz himself thinks, because he's the one, at the end of the day, who would make the final decision. And the reason why this is such a complex, controversial matter is when you look at the polls, the country is split. A slim majority of German voters say they support sending battle tanks to Ukraine. Germany already sends a lot. It's the second largest giver of weapons and financial aid to Ukraine after the US. But this issue of tanks has become such a controversial, heated matter here because you do have a sizable minority of German voters who say this would escalate things in Ukraine, and they feel it's too quick, too much, too fast. And that's why there are some voters who agree with Chancellor Scholz's position. They say, well, it's good to be thinking about this, not to be rushing into anything, to take all things into account. But I think the majority of people here think he's being too hesitant. I think you can see that from the two other parties in his governing coalition who are openly critical of him. And you're certainly seeing it in the opposition, and you're seeing it really among a majority of voters. Either they criticise him for being too hesitant, or on the other side of the scale, they don't want weapons at all going to Ukraine. The far left and the far right are of that position. So Chancellor Scholz, frankly, is pleasing few people, certainly outside of Germany, but not in Germany either.
And Damien, briefly, if you would, I know impossible situation, but just in terms of the German's foreign minister yesterday was saying that she wouldn't stand in the way of Poland sending on these tanks if permission was asked. If permission is not asked, what's the kind of mood music if these countries that have these tanks, bought these tanks from Germany, if they just go ahead and re-export them to Ukraine? What kind of reaction could one possibly expect from Germany?
I think experts, Kasia, say that would be very unlikely, because the idea of going ahead anyway, not even asking Germany, would contravene all sorts of legal procedures. So I think a lot of people here would think that's unlikely. If and when people do ask Berlin to export or re-export German tanks, then I think that we're going to have to see Chancellor Scholz is going to have to act. It's going to be a controversial decision. But what we've seen in the past, he's been slow, he's been hesitant, and then he's in the end given in. And in the end, he has delivered various heavy equipment, including Marder tanks in the past. So I think a lot of people think it will happen. We just don't know when exactly. That's the big question. I think all of that is too slow and too late, certainly for a lot of people in Ukraine.
Yeah, a big question. When we get any updates, Damien, we'll come straight back to you. Damien McGuinness there, my colleague in Berlin.